Have you ever really stopped to think about what a true sentence actually means? Well, today we're going to dive into a really cool idea in logic that completely flips the script. It's all about shifting our focus from a simple true or false to the actual real-world situations a sentence is talking about. Let's get into it. So let's start with a question that seems almost, well, silly at first. Do all true sentences mean the same thing? I mean, is saying 2 plus 2 equals 4 really the same as saying the sky is blue? Of course not, right? They're about completely different things. But you might be surprised to learn that for a long, long time, a really powerful school of thought in logic basically said, yeah, kinda. And this slide right here shows you exactly what I'm talking about. In this classic way of thinking, totally different true statements, like our math problem and our observation about the sky, they're all seen as just different ways of pointing to the exact same abstract thing, this concept called the true. What they're about doesn't matter as much as the fact that they share that one single truth value. This whole idea has a name. It's called Frege's principle, named after the logician Gottlob Frege. And look, it's a super useful tool for building formal logic systems, but it has this one giant consequence. All the rich, specific, interesting content of a sentence gets boiled down to one of just two labels, the true or the false. That's it.
Okay, but this is where things start to get really interesting. Another group of thinkers, with what's called a non-Fregean approach, started to push back on this. They asked, wait a minute, what if the meaning of a sentence isn't just if it's true, but what it's actually about? What if the meaning is tied to the real state of the world it describes?
And this is the absolute key. These non-Fregeans came up with the idea of semantic correlates. So, instead of a sentence just pointing to the true, it points to something real in the world, a situation, an event, a state of affairs. So, the sky is blue doesn't just mean true, it refers to the actual literal situation of the sky being blue. It's a huge shift in thinking. Now, this was a fantastic philosophical idea, right? But it had one big problem. It needed a solid, formal, logical system, like a toolkit, that could actually handle this new, much richer definition of meaning. The idea was there, but the machinery wasn't. And then, what's so wild is that it turned out the perfect toolkit was already out there. The work of a guy named VA Smirnov provided this totally unique logical structure that was, almost by accident, the perfect fit for these non-Fregean ideas. So here's how Smirnov's system works. It has these two levels that work together. First, you've got the extrinsic level. That's the classic logic we're all kind of used to, just dealing with true or false. But the intrinsic level, that's the game changer. He called it an algebra of events. It's basically a formal system for describing and relating things that actually happen in the world, completely separate from whether a statement about them is true or false. So on one hand, you have Smirnov's powerful two-part structure. You've got a level for truth and a level for events. It was like this perfectly built machine, just sitting there, waiting for the right kind of fuel. And on the other hand, you had this amazing non-Fregean idea that sentences refer to real-world situations, those semantic correlates we were just talking about. The philosophy was all there, just looking for a formal home. I think you can probably see where this is going. And boom, this is the big aha moment. When you put these two things together, this new, way more powerful way of thinking just emerges. It's a situational approach to logic, where the formal structure and the real-world meaning finally click into place. Here's how it all connects so beautifully. Smirnov's abstract events are now reimagined as concrete situations. So a sentence now refers to a specific situation. And, this is the most important part, a rule gets put in place that formally links the existence of a situation to the truth of the statement that describes it. You literally get the best of both worlds, a precise description of what's happening and its logical truth value. Okay, we've just waded through some pretty deep concepts, so let's get down to it. What does this fusion of ideas actually give us? Why does any of this matter? This table really just lays it all out perfectly. In the old school Fregean view, a sentence is just a name for true or false. Its meaning is its truth value, and its power is for basic logical reasoning. But in this new situational view, a sentence is a reference to a situation. Its meaning is the situation it describes. And its power? Well, its power is that it lets us reason not just about truth, but about truth and context at the same time. And that's really the bottom line here.
This combined logic is such a big deal because it adds a whole new dimension. We can finally move beyond a simple, flat, true-false world and start to formally analyze the rich, messy, contextual world that our language is actually about.
So I'll leave you with this to chew on. If the real meaning of what we say is fundamentally tied to the context and the situation we're in, what does that change? How does that affect how we try to build artificial intelligence that can actually understand us? Or even how we analyze the subtleties of our own language day to day? It's a huge question, and it all starts with this one elegant shift in how we think about logic. Thanks for joining me.